might remember speaking to me before the election, and if you recall, my number one issue is Medicare for all.
Yes.
And members of various organizations in the Lehigh Valley that are progressive organizations that support Medicare for all have been informed by your staff that you did in fact co-sign on Pramila Jayapal's.
I'm an original co-sponsor of it.
Yes, of the 2019 Medicare for All bill. So I mostly just wanted to confirm that and thank you so much, because this is an issue that affects, I think, pretty much everyone that I know. It affects working families, and it affects seniors that cannot afford their medication, and this is such an important issue. How likely do you think it is that this will be passed, and what needs to happen in order for it to be passed?
Well, first of all, the question was about Medicare for All, and I am here confirming that I have indeed signed on as an original co-sponsor of that. My message is this: I will sign on to anything reasonable that will increase more, will provide more health care for more people at a more affordable rate. Now, do I think Medicare for All will pass this session, was the question. You didn't say this session, but I assumed that that's what you meant. The answer is no, I don't think it will pass this session. I think it's because, first of all, I'm not sure it gets through the House, but I'm certain that it doesn't get through the Senate. So I don't think, but I do think that this is important groundwork, because I do hope that after 2020 there will be a much better likelihood of it being passed, and I think it's the kind of thing that has to be started now. The way a bill does not get introduced and immediately get onto the floor for a vote. It goes through a whole series of committees. It gets marked up, it gets amended. The Rules Committee does something with it. I'm not on the Rules Committee and I haven't quite fully absorbed what it is, but the Rules Committee ultimately makes the decision about what gets to the floor. So I think it will get to the floor for a vote before 2020. I don't know that. Do I think it will pass the House? I don't know. I mean, I've talked to an awful lot of my colleagues about it, and, you know, I haven't done a vote count, let's put it that way.
To me, it doesn't seem like the party establishment in the Democratic Party is willing to embrace Medicare for all. And as a citizen and as a person that I think the first time I was rejected for health care coverage was something like 24 years old. I've watched, including my mother, who died of stage 4 cancer, put off care, not having seen a gynecologist within 2 years of getting diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer. And these are people who are affluent, able to afford care, but simply don't do it because our system is just so broken. And that's not even addressing the people who simply cannot afford care, the families that spend $2,400 per month on their health insurance, or the people that have to go without. And we are the richest country in the world. And just from a person perspective, let's take politics out of it. How can the Democrats, we know what the Republicans are going to do, but how can the Democrats sit and not act when people are dying? And this affects so many people.
So let me just say, the question was whether the party establishment will get behind Medicare for all. And I certainly don't speak for the party establishment, but I'll tell you what my sense of things is. That bill has 100 co-sponsors in the House right now. That's a pretty good start to things, 100 co-sponsors. And the party establishment is often guided by what their members do and the way their members act. Now keep in mind, we've got a presidential primary coming up before we know it, and I think, as somebody here said, I'm the only member of Congress who hasn't declared that I'm running. No, thank you. No, I've always said I have no aspirations for higher office, okay? I'm saying that here. So you've seen what the primary candidates have, where they are falling. And there are, the majority of the Democratic candidates have come out in favor of Medicare for all. Now, is that something that's going to carry forward as far as the primary? I don't know. They're going to be polling it to death. They probably already have, or they wouldn't have come out in favor of it. So I think you're going to see movement on that issue. I think the party establishment, quote unquote, is waiting to see how the members fall into line and what people report back from their district. So without getting into any controversy, I'd just be curious, with a show of hands, how many people here, and there are a number of people here who clearly are already Medicare eligible, congratulations. And the one thing I think is really important to tell people who are already on Medicare is that the bill is not something that threatens Medicare for people who are already receiving it. That concern has been expressed a number of times. But how many people here, just by a show of hands, are in support of Medicare for all? Okay. I call that pretty sizable majority of people. And I wanted you to do that because that's the kind of thing that we get asked when we're back home. How does your district feel? Now, granted, my whole district isn't here, but it's an important sign. So,
Thank you.
yes.